Now let's discuss about the different stages of AC generator. So here stage 1. What is stage 1? The plane of the armature is perpendicular to the magnetic field. See, this is the north pole and south pole of the magnet. So the direction of magnetic field is from north to south, and our coil has rotated in the magnetic field because initially you know the position of the magnetic field. Now it has rotated. So when it rotates, see, maximum number of magnetic flux passes through this coil in this position. Okay, and whenever the lines of force associated with the coil changes, an EMF is induced in the coil. And what will be the expression of that induced EMF? We have found out the expression for induced EMF in the case of AC generator. What is that? Induced EMF E is equal to NBA omega sine omega t, isn't it? So in this case, what is omega t? Omega t means theta. That means the angle between magnetic field and area vector. Here, what is the angle between magnetic field and area vector? See, magnetic field is pointing from north to south, and area vector is perpendicular to the plane of the coil. So the direction of area vector in this case also will be along the same direction. So what is the angle between magnetic field and area vector? That is theta. It will be equal to 0. So sine omega t will be 0 because the value of omega t is 0 for stage 1. So sine 0 will be 0 and the induced EMF will be 0. So on the corresponding graph, here a graph is plotted between induced EMF and time t. So initially when the coil is in this position, the induced EMF is 0 because the angle theta between the magnetic field vector and area vector is 0. So that's why the graph has minimum point at this position of the coil. Now consider the next stage. When the armature rotates through 90 degree, the plane of the armature is parallel to the magnetic field. See, 1/4 rotation is over. Now this will be the position of our coil. Now what will be the direction of magnetic field? Magnetic field will be along the same direction from north to south. But what is the direction of area vector? Now the plane of the coil is lying on the magnetic field like this. So the area vector will be acting upwards. Okay, like this. So what is the angle between area vector? It will be 90 degree. So when omega t is 90 degree, what will be the expression for induced EMF? Induced EMF is equal to NBA omega sine omega t. Omega t is 90 in this case, so sine omega t will be sine 90, that is 1. So what will be induced EMF? Induced EMF E is equal to NBA omega. And I had told you NBA omega is the maximum value of induced EMF. So the graph takes the maximum position corresponding to this stage of the coil, stage 2. Just look at this. This is the maximum position. Okay. The graph takes a peak corresponding to the stage 2 of the generator. Now consider stage 3. In stage 3, the coil has rotated again through 90 degree. So what happens? Again, this is the position of the coil. And one more thing, at this position, the magnetic flux associated with the coil will be minimum. At this position, more lines of force will pass through the coil. So magnetic flux was maximum. But at this position, only few lines of force will pass through the coil. So the magnetic flux will be minimum. So there is a change in magnetic flux from maximum to minimum. But at the same time, the induced EMF is changing from minimum to maximum. Okay, so don't get confused between the variation of flux and induced EMF. Now consider the stage 3. In stage 3, again the coil took this position. So more number of lines of force passes through this coil. The magnetic flux changes. So an EMF is induced. And what will be that induced EMF? At this position, angle theta or omega t will be 0. Because the magnetic field is along this direction, area vector is also along this direction. So both area vector and magnetic field acts along the same direction, so omega t will be 0, then induced EMF also will be 0. So the graph takes a minimum value at this stage. See, so corresponding to stage 3, the graph takes the minimum value. Again, during the next, after a rotation of, again another rotation of 270 degree, what happens? This is the position of the coil. So minimum number of lines of force passes through that coil. What is the direction of magnetic field? This is the direction of magnetic field. What is the direction of area vector? This is the direction of area vector. So the angle omega t or theta will be 90 degree. So if it is 90 degree, here it won't be 90 degree now. Why? Because the coil has rotated by an angle of 270 degree. So omega t will be equal to 270, and when omega t is 270, that is 3 pi by 2, sine 3 pi by 2 is minus 1. So induced EMF E is equal to NBA omega sine 3 pi by 2, that is NBA omega into minus 1, or you can write it is minus NBA omega. So the graph takes maximum position but in the negative axis. See, so this is the position of the graph corresponding to an angle of 270 degree or 3 pi by 2. Okay, and again during next rotation the angle theta will be 0, that means it is 360 degrees, so it will be 0, sine 360 is 0, so induced EMF will be 0, and the graph takes a minimum value at an angle of 360 degree. So these are the different stages of AC generator, and this graph shows the variation of induced EMF with respect to different stages. Okay, so initially angle theta was 0, then coil has rotated through an angle of 90 degree, so sine omega t will be 1 and the induced EMF will be maximum. Then coil has rotated through an angle of 180 degree, again sine 180 is 0, so induced EMF will be 0. Then the coil rotated through an angle of 270 degree, so sine 3 pi by 2 or sine 270 is minus 1, so the graph takes maximum value in the negative axis or in the negative direction. And again when the coil rotated through an angle of 360 degrees, sine 360 is 0, so the graph takes a minimal, induced EMF graph takes minimum value for an angle of 360 degree. And just look at this waveform. This is a sine wave, and this is the output of the AC generator, and it is an alternating current or it is a sinusoidal output wave. So such type of waveform is known as sinusoidal waveform. Okay. So children, that's all about AC generator and its stages. Notes of the topic and YouTube video have been uploaded. Just go through it. Post the answers quickly soon after the attending the test paper. We will meet in the next session. Till then, take care all of you. Stay home, stay safe, keep learning. Thank you.